and welcome to this first program that the Maynard Historical Society is going to produce from now on. The society was founded about 35 years ago, mostly in preparation for the upcoming centennial in 1971. They spent the first 10 years getting the material ready for the book that was published that year. Since then, for 25 years, we've been presenting programs dealing with the history of Maynard all the way from the days when the Indians were in the area to when it was settled and made into a town. We've got some guests today who are both octogenarians. I guess that's all we have to say about your ages. And they've lived in Maynard for a long time. We're going to talk about what life was like back in the days when they were young, children during the First World War, I guess, and up through the roaring 20s, and then into the 30s when Depression came along, when they were getting out of high school and so forth. The first lady here is Helen Leithead. Tell me something about your last name. That has always intrigued me.
It's a Scottish name.
Scottish?
It should be pronounced Leithead.
Leithead.
But when my folks came down from Canada, they never corrected it.
I see. Well, I've often wondered because the head made me think that it had something to do with the British Isles, but L-E-I-T used to make me think it was German, perhaps.
Well, I get French, and I get Leithead.
yeah, I'm sure. It's one of those names that people love to mispronounce. You've lived in Maynard all your life? Then?
I was born in Maynard.
And your folks came down?
From Canada.
From Canada. What part of town did you folks live in?
On McKinley Street in Maynard.
In McKinley
That's
Street.
where I was born.
Right. So were those still mill houses?
They were still mill houses.
Yeah, the houses down in that section of town were owned by the American Woolen Company, and the employees worked there. So obviously your father worked in the mill.
He worked in the mill.
Yeah. And how big a family was it?
We had, I had 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
Oh.
So there was 5 of us.
5. And did they stay around Maynard?
For a while.
For a while.
My oldest sister and I were mostly stayed in Maynard.
Stayed in Maynard. And your brother Wendell
He lived in Maynard for a while.
Yeah, until he retired down there. Yeah. Okay. And this here is Marion Weaving. She didn't have the pleasure of being born in Maynard, but very close by, in Stowe.
That's right.
And your maiden name was Stowe.
Yes.
So she's a real Stowe, whatever you are, Stowite.
I'm not cheap.
So when did you get to Maynard? When you married?
Yes.
And that was when?
1935.
So you've been here for a few decades, yeah. So you certainly know about it. Maybe you can tell us what school was like back in the days when you first went to school. Where did you go?
I went to Bancroft Street.
Bancroft Street. And that was 6th grades?
Yes. And then from there, we went down to Nathan Street for a while. And then we had double sessions when they built the junior high school.
Oh, is that when the old high school burned?
I think so. Must have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we went double sessions.
Double sessions. Yeah. So that reminds us that we had double sessions not so many years ago when the other building burned.
Right.
Okay. And then you went to Maynard High School.
Maynard High School.
Which was where?
Up on Summer Street.
On Summer Street. It was already built at that time. Okay. And you went to school in Stowe then, I take it?
In elementary school.
Elementary
where
school.
Where they had 6 grades.
All in one room?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. All in one room.
Oh boy, one of those one-room schoolhouses we hear about.
Yeah.
What was life like there?
Well, I didn't care too much for school, for one thing.
To begin with.
But I went. And I used to have to play the piano when we started out.
Already down there in grade school?
And I have to put this in, that my father went to the little red schoolhouse in Stowe where there were like 4 or 5 people in each grade, and they were all in that one little room. And while the woman taught the 1st grade, they'd be quiet, and then she'd go to the 2nd, and they never had any problems in that school. And all the people that came out of that school were excellent students.
Hmm.
And nowadays, they don't want to mix them up, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, in those days, they did.
So that means that you had one excellent teacher then who was able
Yes.
to maintain discipline,
Yeah,
I would
that's
guess.
long time ago.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to go through that. And from the teacher's point of view, it must have been quite a
Well, I
workout.
would think it's hard, but they were used
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
They were used
Uh-huh.
to that.
Yeah.
Then I went to the Hale
Hale High
High
School.
School.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
4 years
And
there.
and that was not a very big school because Stowe is not very big
No,
population.
it wasn't that big.
No. Yeah.
But it seemed as though we had more organization and more getting together, and everybody knew everybody,
Hmm.
which was nice.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it was a small
Yeah,
small
and
group.
we used to have, at the town hall, we used to have all kinds of dances and things going on like that, which was, it was very good because it wasn't like these big schools where, you know, you don't know the next door neighbor.
And you were from a big family too, right?
Yes, my father and mother had 9 children, 5 girls and 4 boys, and there's still 4 girls living.
Oh,
And my oldest sister is 98.
yeah. Wow. Very good. What about outside activities in school? What did you do to pass the time when there were no such things as soccer leagues and all this kind of good stuff?
Not much, really. You know,
Played outside
We
with
played
the-
outside.
yeah,
We played
uh-huh.
games, and we could play in the middle of the road then. There weren't that many automobiles.
Yeah, I remember the days when they used to close the street off to go
Roosevelt-
sliding in the
Roosevelt
wintertime.
Street, they closed
Yeah.
the street.
Yeah, yeah. And that neighborhood you lived in had, well, all kinds of nationalities too, didn't
Right,
they?
right.
Yeah, so you really got quite a mix.
We did.
Probably not so in Stowe.
Not so much in Stowe, but
No, they were mostly Yankee
we
farmers,
did a lot
right?
of things like going skating,
Mm-hmm.
and we had all kinds of school dances, things like that. It was different, much different than Maynard.
Now, when you were a daughter at home in a big family like this, what was home like? What was used for heating the house, for instance?
A stove in the dining room and a stove in the kitchen.
No furnace in
No
the cellar.
furnace,
A
no
stove,
bathroom.
no bathroom.
No.
Not even down cellar, maybe.
There was the
Lavatory.
lavatory,
Down cellar.
and that's it.
Yeah. And so when you wanted to take a bath,
We had to take it in the kitchen, close it off.
is that what it
Well,
was like?
that's similar. We had wood stoves because my father sold wood, and we had a big. We used to come down upstairs to our living room, no less, by that big stove, and we would take a bath there and change our clothes and everything there. And we didn't. We had a bathroom, whatever you want to call it, but it was in the shed in the house, so you didn't have to go outdoors or down cellar or anything. Just walk right up to it. You know. And, yeah.
And did you have running water in the house?
Yes. We did.
Yeah, I know you did in Maynard,
we had
down
that.
in that area. Then how about learning to cook, for instance?
We had to help out with the cooking. My
Yeah.
mother cooked 3 times a week.
3 times a week?
3 times a week.
She
Bread
made-
and everything.
Oh my goodness. So that's why you're such a wonderful cook now.
Well, I was very lucky because I was next to the last born. So my older sisters were the ones that got stuck to cook and do the washing at first. All the washing was done by hand until they went to work and they bought my mother
A washing machine. Yeah.
That's the first time. I used to have to lug the water because they used so much from the brook that went through the farm up a hill.
And you had to
And
carry
they
it in.
did it. The boys didn't do it. The kids.
So you had running water
We had
down
running
in
water.
Maynard, yeah. Oh, that must have been fun
Well, we had running water, but it wasn't enough to do the
to do wash.
do the washing.
Yeah.
You know.
Or do the tub.
And so all the older ones cooked and everything. As I say, I was lucky. I was born later, so I.
So yours was more or less of a farm, was it?
Oh yes.
So you were able to get all your vegetables and things
Oh
there.
yes,
Just
definitely.
now, you people had to go shopping in a store, obviously.
Well, yes, and sometimes we would call a grocery yard and they'd deliver them.
I see.
And then the same with, there'd be people come around. In fact, Mr. Gruber come around with bathroom things and things like that.
Uh-huh.
And then there'd be a man come around Saturday with fruits.
Uh-huh. And he'd come up and down the streets,
Up and
and
down
you
the
could.
streets,
And I remember maybe later years, fish was peddled that way,
Yeah.
right? O'Brien and his fish.
Right,
fish.
right.
And I know several of the bakeries had bakery trucks that used to
Yeah.
come around
Oh,
later
yeah,
on.
they used to come up the farm,
yeah,
too.
yeah. So that the whole experience of getting your provisions was quite different in those days.
It
yeah.
was, yeah.
Also, there was really nothing to store it in,
No.
meaning
No.
refrigeration.
No.
Yeah. Did
Yeah,
you have the old ice box?
The
and
ice box and
Oh,
everything,
yes.
water out of it.
yeah.
Mm.
And if you didn't, you heard about it because it
Right.
was all over the kitchen floor.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that takes care of the house. Then you got into high school. How'd you meet your husband?
Well, I met him when I went to, my father and mother let us go over to South Acton or West Acton to the dances. And my sister and the husband, George Smith, you remember him?
Yes.
They had a little band, and they were supposed to keep their eye on us. Well, they didn't have time to keep their eye on us, so we had a great time.
Uh-huh.
And that's where I met George. In fact, he was going with a woman, girl, very steady, and he never went back. So I bet she wondered what happened to him. But yeah, that's where I met him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then you got married sometime
I
thereafter?
got married in the
And
house.
Uh-huh.
We all got married at home. Alice, the youngest one, was the only one that got married in the church.
I see. And then so the reception was held there too, and
Oh, yes,
such
the
as
whole
it was?
thing. Yeah.
So what was it like?
Oh, it was great. We had all kinds of things. Lots of music.
Lots of music?
We all played music, and that place was ringing from music day and night. We had a piano, and there was somebody on it all the time.
So everybody
And
played?
we all
practically.
played instruments, my
Uh-huh.
father and mother.
Oh, your father and mother also? Oh.
And one time, when my father was 80, we hired an organ to be brought down from Hudson, and my sister Helen and I and her son could play it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big event.
Mm-hmm.
And we put on a show at the church, just our family.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, the men had top hats and everything.
Did you take lessons someplace, or was
Miss
did
Gibbons.
everybody?
Yeah,
Miss Gibbons?
In
Stowe?
Maynard.
Oh, in Maynard.
we had to walk a mile and a half downtown to get the bus. And then we would get off by the post office and run like mad up to her house and take the lesson and run back and get the bus and walk a mile and a half home. And we had to walk a mile and a half to church, too.
And how about going to school? Was that?
School, if you lived a mile and a half out, you could ride the bus. Otherwise, you walked.
So there was a bus in Stowe.
Oh, yeah.
Maynard didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't have buses
Well,
then.
so we were so small that we didn't see it
Yeah.
fit to have buses
Yeah.
at that time.
Because they picked up so many from these outlying areas. That's what it was.
Oh, I see.
I think in Maynard it was more.
Yeah, well, Maynard is
Yeah.
very compact. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So you got plenty of exercise then.
Oh, yeah.
And you didn't think anything of it, right? That
no,
was the
we
way it
never
had
thought
to be
anything
done.
of it.
Yeah.
Everybody did the same thing.
Yeah. Did the streetcar run through from Maynard?
It
through?
did, but before I was born, there was a
So it was
streetcar,
already gone
and
by
that
the
went
time.
out and the bus came in.
Yeah. Was that the level bus line? or-
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had street cars. 'Cause I remember going over to Acton with my folks
Mm-hmm.
to go over to an eye doctor.
Uh-huh.
I think his name was Dr. Cardwell.
Oh.
We used to go over because there was no babysitting in those days. You had to go with your family when they went.
Yeah. Take everybody along,
Right.
right? Yeah. Now, you both have been members of the Union Congregational Church for years and years and years.
Yes.
So what was Sunday school like back in those
It
days?
was very good. We went to Sunday school after church.
After church.
1 o'clock. We were there till 1 o'clock.
So the church was at 10 o'clock or so?
No, it was church would be at 11.
At 11.
Now at 12, and we go right into Sunday school.
Aye. Uh-huh. So the middle of the day meal did not really count for
It didn't,
anything
no,
that day.
no.
No.
Yeah.
Mine was about the same. We went to church, and then we had a Sunday school right after.
Mm.
Right
Mm-hmm.
afterwards.
But that church was just that one day of the week, right? I mean, some churches used to
But
have.
then we had, I don't know if you had it or not, but we had Christian Endeavor at night.
Oh, we had junior Christian Endeavor. I went
Yeah.
to junior Christian, and then after senior Christian Endeavor.
Uh-huh. That was a youth group, more or less, than
Yeah,
at...
and then we'd go on conventions on holidays.
I see. So much of your life was centered rightly around the church then, as
Right.
far as
Yes. Oh, yeah.
activities were concerned. Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah. So you've been there for quite a while.
Right.
All right. Did you ever have any, I see you've got some paper there. Have you got any clever stories you want to tell us about?
Well, I was going to tell you that my grandfather, who lived in New Hampshire, was supposed to be the champion fiddle player. Now, a lot of people don't know what a fiddle is, but it's a violin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he made violins.
He made
very
violins.
much so.
Uh-huh. So you've had music coming down your family genes.
Oh, we all
so,
played, yeah.
yeah.
Everybody
Yeah,
played.
yeah.
You know, that was a lot of our entertainment.
Well, I would think so.
And
Not
we had
only
a big kitchen, so we pushed the table back, and everybody danced too.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, on Sunday, which the people next door thought was terrible,
Oh, I
that
mean,
we
you,
did that
you did do it on
on
Sunday.
Sunday.
Uh-huh.
But everybody wanted to come to our farm because
Uh-huh.
we had a good time. And then on the 4th of July, they had, I guess they had fireworks, I can't remember. But we had an anvil, if you know what that is,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
up on the hill in the back. And my father and my brothers would put a big load of gunpowder in there, and we'd boom that off 4th of July. You could hear it to Maynard, really. Of course.
So that was in place of fireworks, right?
Yes, that's right.
It was the noise more than the light. Uh-huh.
If there's anything else. Oh, and the doctors, that's one thing my sister Mabel said. The doctors used to come to the houses, but if you had a contagious disease, they never came near you.
They would not come?
Everybody had to have their babies at home.
True, yeah.
You know, but they didn't come if you had a contagious disease.
So what were you supposed to do?
Well, I don't know. I know my mother had about 6 with I forgot the disease, but she had them laying on the floor in one of the rooms. And when my brother died, she couldn't even go to the funeral because she had to stay home, take care of all those kids.
Oh, my goodness.
I forgot what the disease was.
That wasn't that flu epidemic that came
like
after
that.
after
You
the
know.
First
But
World War.
they didn't, and they did have a town nurse up there, but it was quite a while when I got older that they started having, you know, Ogeletto.
Mm-hmm.
She was the town nurse.
Yeah. Oh, that was very, very much later. Yeah.
But,
Miss Ward.
Yeah, Mary Ward was our town nurse. Right. All right. How about you, Helen? You got
Well,
any?
we used to go to Chautauqua. Remember Chautauqua?
Well, I've heard about Chautauqua,
They had the tent behind the high school, not the new one, the old high school,
which was on.
the middle school now.
Oh,
is
yeah.
what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a matinee on Saturdays, and we were allowed to go to that.
And so the Chautauqua was a more or less of a lecture, was it, or was
well,
it a
no,
concert
they had
or
entertainment. They had
entertainment?
Yeah, very good.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And so they came to town
They
what
came
once
once a year.
once a year,
Yeah,
like the circus, then,
Right.
probably.
yeah.
Or
But it was, you know, I mean, they had the tent, and then there were the chairs under the tent.
mm-hmm. How about movies?
We used to go to the movies every Saturday.
Uh-huh.
We'd dress up and get washed and dressed up and walk down the street and walk the streets. And I can remember the horse and buggy. There was, I think it came from Stowe, and the horse bolted. And we had to run to the cream and buttery store to get out of the sleigh because it ran over its driver, and another man had to grab the horse.
Oh dear.
So we had to run for our lives.
So there was a little adventure to go to
Right.
the movies
Right.
even before you got there. And the movie was where?
We're up over the, well, it used to be the 5 and 10.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Colonial Hall was. Is that?
Colonial
Yeah.
Hall, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where it was when I was a kid too. Yeah.
Then we
And-
used to go to Wilder McCurdy's drugstore, you know, where you have the counters and the stools at the counter. You go
Yeah,
there and have ice cream.
The soda
and
concerts, yeah.
everything.
I remember that was still in existence
Right.
when I was young. Yeah, that was quite a treat.
It was.
Yeah.
Well, we used to get down to Maynard to Crow Park when they had the carnival.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
That was a big thing for us to get down there.
Well, Maynard was sort of the civic center of the whole big area,
That's
right?
right.
Because Stowe and Acton and Sudbury were all farm towns, quite different from
But-
nowadays.
When you think of it, my father just had a wagon and the big horses because he dealt in all kinds of wood that he deliver to people. Even these places like Belmont go in, and you have to put it by stick in a cellar window, by 2 sticks at a time.
Mm-hmm. Talk about cellar windows. Did you people have coal delivered? You wouldn't if you had all the wood, but when you got to Maynard, you probably did.
Oh, we had
That to be
oil.
delivered.
Oh, you had oil? Yeah, that was always a joy.
Always.
Uh,
And we have to go out and collect these and in the wintertime, put it against the window so the pipes wouldn't freeze.
Yeah, yeah, because there wasn't very much insulation.
And Babe Ruth used to come down and sit on the curb and with the boys a lot.
Yeah, because he was living in
Sudbury.
in Sudbury, yeah, yeah. Ralph.
We
friend-
had 5 bedrooms upstairs, which was unusual for a farm. And my mother and father had theirs, and they had heat in theirs, and the rest of us froze stiff. We had no heat in our rooms.
Mhm.
The ice was on the window the whole winter.
Yeah, so you slept 5 in a bed, is that the
Well,
idea?
Al,
You
three
felt
of us
like it.
still slept in one bed.
Yeah,
That was one of them. The
yeah.
others were pretty lucky. Most of them didn't have to sleep that way. But,
Well, that helped you keep warm in the winter.
yeah, but even so, when you get out in the morning, just about die. You run to the front room to get near the stove.
Well, when I was a kid, my mother and father, although we had a furnace down cellar with for coal, they would not light it until October 1st. And then, I don't remember when in the spring it was the day. It didn't matter what the weather was outside. You might have a snowstorm, but if it was the day that the furnace went off,
They
it
had
went
their
off.
rules and regulations.
Do you remember going to Sudbury White to swim?
Sudbury White, no, I don't. But
Johnny size, every Wednesday the stores would close in the afternoon.
oh yeah, that's right.
And our neighbor across the street we'd beg her to go as chaperone, and Johnny would drive us over there to swim. It was a beautiful pond to swim.
Mm-hmm.
But of course now Concord's taken that over.
Yeah, yeah. And I do remember swimming up at Puffers and up at Rose's.
Yeah.
And,
My mother wouldn't let us go up there
Oh,
for
yeah.
some reason.
yeah, that's where all the fins were, right?
Well, no, because we
Right.
were afraid that, without any chaperone.
Yeah, you always had to be chaperoned, right? Yeah,
My
right.
brothers couldn't go, well, they learned to swim, so she told us.
I do remember those ponds. You get into the water and soon your legs were covered with bloodsuckers.
Yeah.
You remember
Oh,
that
yeah.
stuff? You
Yeah.
spent,
Sudbury White was like a spring.
yeah, you spent half the day
See, we had
pulling them out.
a brook that ran right through our farm, and there was a big place dug out. I don't know how it happened to be, but it was dug out, and that's where we learned to swim. And of course, we swam with these big water snakes, about that big around. They'd go in one end and we'd go out the other end. But we weren't afraid of them.
Yeah, as
And
kids,
there's one thing about those that when, if my father would be haying and he would cut up one of those snakes, that was in the grass, they'd wait, and at night the mate would come to it. Always come.
Oh my goodness. So before we finish up, Nick, can you give us a few words about what depression was like then? Once you get out of high school in what, 31 was it?
31.
31. Was Gert Huikari in your class? Oh, did that name make?
No,
Oh.
no.
Oh, because we were given, the society was given some pictures from her class. She had a first grade picture with everybody's name on it. And then she also had a picture of them at that Bancroft school that was all decorated up when the town turned 50.
Oh.
So I thought perhaps you were in the same class,
No.
but you were around there somewhere, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So when you get out of school, it was depression.
You couldn't get a job.
You couldn't get a job,
You
so
had to take whatever you get.
yeah. And what did you get?
I went in the mill.
Into the mill.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that was pretty.
It was low. Well, they were getting ready for the war.
Towards the
making
end of the
blankets and
30s,
things,
yeah.
making blankets and things for the soldiers.
Yeah, but that was until the end of
The end, yeah.
end of the 30s. Yeah, that was a tough time to. How about
My
you?
brothers, a couple of them worked in the mill
Mm-hmm.
and other mills around if they didn't get a job there, But when I got out, I worked in the insurance office in Concord. I used to take the bus. So
Bus
I had to
from-
walk to the bus and then take the bus down and walk back unless George picked me up once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a long route,
Yeah, that is a long route. Yeah.
And I think I made $15 a week. And I had to pay for the bus, and I gave my mother and father $5 for room and board, and I had practically nothing left to buy clothes for myself.
Mhm.
So kids these days don't realize what it's like
Yeah.
not to
Yeah,
have,
it was
you
a
know.
it was a tough time.
But everybody else was doing the same thing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. I know. Remember, Reverend Vance was around at that time
Right.
at the Congregational Church, and he was very active in helping the
Right.
poor. They
Yeah,
served
he
meals
was very
and,
good.
and he
Very
collected
good.
clothes and all that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that
Our neighbors used to give them give us our clothes,
Mm.
hand them down to one another.
Well, I think that was a lot of that was done. You know, clothes were not thrown away.
That's right.
And put into a box for the poor who were someplace else. The
Right.
poor were right there
Right.
next door to you practically.
See, my mother made all our clothes. She even made the suits for the boys.
Is that right?
Yeah. She was a wonderful sewer.
So did you learn to become a sewer?
I don't do any of that kind of sewing at all. My four sisters all sew good.
Okay. So it's
Not me.
okay.
I just never liked it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So. But we
Anything
used
else?
to have, you know, a lot of fun at the farm, you know, because we owned such a big area. I remember having to go, we had a red house on the back road that my grandfather and grandmother lived in, and that was quite a ways from our house. And I used to have to go over there, Alice and I, and drive those cows home. About 35 cows,
And how old were you?
not too old.
Mm.
And I had to drive those up, and you couldn't run them because it would wreck the milk.
Uh-huh.
Because I felt like doing something. They're so slow. But I mean, things like that we had to do. But we always had a lot of things going on, baseball games, all that kind of stuff. A lot of entertainment, our own entertainment.
Yeah. Well, when you grow up in a big family, there's always somebody
That's it.
to play with and to chum around with. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Not really, no.
Okay. Well, then let's wind it up and hope that you've enjoyed this little bit of reminiscing about what life was like in those days. The Maynard Historical Society meets once a month, and I hope you keep your eye out for our notices, and you're always welcome to come down to the town hall where we meet and visit our rooms there where we have the memorabilia from the early days. Thank you.